But yeah, let's crack on. Cool. So just some informal house rules. Find these things kind of work best if participants kind of keep your microphones muted for now. There will be like lots of opportunities to ask questions. Either do that in the chat, or we'll allocate time at the end to kind of go over any questions or queries you might have. Hopefully we're recording the presentation for those that can't make it today. So that'll be accessible for them another time. No. So today we'll kind of go over some of the admin work that we need to get processed before you go on expedition, kind of talk about fundraising, and our year of service team have got a really exciting opportunity related to that as well that we're going to mention. We're going to talk about how and when to book flights, how to get our visas. We're not going to talk about the pre-expedition training event because that's already happened. And I have a feeling that we're going to talk about the coronavirus update as well, just kind of change that we've made to expedition, just so that we're all on the same page and have that information that we need. Cool. So let's dive into your forms. I love this picture because this is a picture from my expedition, actually. I was lucky enough to go to Costa Rica in 2018. This is one of our home country volunteers, Gio, who was from Nicaragua. And this is on our natural resource management phase where we went into a local school. We kind of talked about composting and kind of environmental practices for young people in Costa Rica. So it's fantastic. The most important piece of admin, or I suppose one of the most important pieces of admin that we need is your passport. This has to be within date. So it has to be within date within 6 months of your expedition finishing, just in case anything happens. Just so we have that leeway. So if you haven't sent that to us yet, please can you just email that across to either the Costa Rica or Nepal inbox as soon as you can. Just make sure it's a nice clear like color scan so we can see passport number and the expiry date. And if you're in the process of renewing your passport, just let us know via email and send us your renewed passport as soon as you can. And then usually like this gives you access to My Raleigh, but I'm hoping that everybody here already has access to My Raleigh. If you don't have access to My Raleigh, then just pop a message in the chat and then we'll make sure that you get access to that. Cool. And My Raleigh is kind of like the really important portal where we have all of the information that you'll need pre-expedition, all the forms that you need to complete, advice about fundraising. You've also got some really nifty country-specific information. And we're also kind of looking to develop the My Raleigh platform so that it's a bit more interactive than it is at the moment. But crucially, My Raleigh should give you access to your medical form. So this probably is the most important piece of admin that we need from volunteers before they go, just because until you're medically cleared, you're not like guaranteed to go on expedition. So it's really important that you get this returned back to us so our medical team can check over your medical form, either organize any follow-ups with things that might come up in that, or, you know, fingers crossed, hopefully clear you for expedition, and then we can look at booking flights. So just some handy tips for your medical form. Has to be completed within one sitting. So, you know, simply log into My Raleigh, should be a section preparing for Costa Rica or Nepal. And then under like section 1, it should be important paperwork, will be your medical form. This will take you onto a nice and easy web-based form where you just fill it out. It will then, once you submit it, you'll receive an automated email that will notify us that you've completed the form. You then print the form, take it to your GP. Recommend doing this as soon as you can because there can be, you know, quite a bit of delay between a GP receiving a medical form and then deciding that they want to sign it. Collect the form from your GP and then send us a scan via the automated email. It should have a link. If you can't find this, just drop us an email and we'll send you the link. Some things that may come up in this process that stop a GP from wanting to sign your form. There's a misconception that a GP might think that by signing your medical form that they're giving you medical clearance to go on expedition, whereas this isn't the case. They're just signing the form to check that everything that you've declared on your medical form is accurate to their knowledge. So if they're kind of being a bit hesitant, just kind of reassure them that you know, the onus is on Raleigh to declare people as medically fit for expedition and not on them. And also remember that your medical form is a legally binding document. So, it's really important to be truthful. And we'll do everything we can between us and the medical team to kind of, facilitate your place on expedition. So it's just really important to be transparent and honest about that. Vaccinations. So we don't require any proof of vaccinations. I'll preface this section by saying that other than your COVID vaccinations, and depending on which country you're coming from, you should be able to get like either a QR code as like a COVID passport, or even your physical like vaccine card with your dates on. And once again, if you go onto My Raleigh, you can, there'll be another section which says, input your COVID vaccination form here. So you'll fill it out to say, yes, I've been double vaxxed. And then you'll be able to upload that scanned proof of either your QR code or your vaccine card to show us that you've been doubly jabbed against coronavirus. But it is also essential that you get the other vaccinations for either Costa Rica or Nepal. It's just that we don't require any proof of that. We used to, but we don't anymore. So you can find out what vaccines you need. Again, on My Raleigh, this is the Costa Rica list. It will also tell you exactly why you need each vaccine. Some travel clinics may kind of say, oh, you don't need Japanese encephalitis if you're going to Nepal. But this is something that Raleigh have deemed, necessary. And we kind of go into like the medical reasons as to why that is on My Raleigh. So this, regardless of what your travel clinic may say, just please make sure that you get all of the vaccines and the required doses of those vaccines according to My Raleigh. So yeah, this is the Costa Rica list. Also really important that you get a dental checkup as well, because this is something that our insurance doesn't cover. So if anything happened on expedition that caused damage to, your dental health, yeah, just make sure you get checked beforehand so nothing comes up on expedition. The next slide should be, I think the list for Nepal is exactly the same, except that you need Japanese encephalitis as well. That's just because some of the work we do is in a lot of rural locations, and it will stop you from getting a nasty form of meningitis. So really important. If we've got anybody that will be under 18 on expedition, which I think we do, it's really important that you get your parental consent form either by a parent or guardian, which can be accessed on My Raleigh, and then sent back to us. If you just fill that out, get them to sign it, and then send that scanned back to your country email address. That's fantastic. I think we're missing a couple of those. So if that does apply to you, please make sure that you get that done as soon as possible. Let's talk about fundraising. So fundraising is really important to us at Raleigh because it kind of distinguishes an expedition as a piece of like charity work from being like a holiday or like volunteerism. So by fundraising, not only does it help you kind of hone your skills and knowledge as to like the sustainable development and kind of international development, also like why Raleigh work in the areas that we do, kind of what sustainable development goals we work with. It also kind of, I lost my train of thought there. Yeah, by just sharing the word that you're fundraising, kind of what you plan to do on expedition, really helps you get the word, not only about the fantastic thing that you're doing, but also the fantastic work that Raleigh International does as well. So yeah, it's really important to raise awareness so you can kind of reach as many people through your fundraising as possible. And again, on My Raleigh, there's quite a comprehensive kind of fundraising pack, which we've also got one for socially distanced fundraising as well, which is kind of still relevant, hopefully becomes less relevant as we go through the year. But there's also some things that we can do at Raleigh International. If you just drop us an email, we can send you a fundraising kit, so you get some kind of like promotional material to kind of hand out if you've got any in-person events. We can also send you Raleigh International t-shirts. Obviously, I'd never complain at getting free merch, so just drop us an email, and when we can, we'll send you a fundraising pack out. It's also pretty good to kind of use fundraising platforms like Just Giving or Virgin Money or Crowdfunder. Those are really good at kind of making it easy for other people to donate to your fundraising. One thing that I should probably mention is hopefully you're all aware of the new terms and conditions that Raleigh have released. If not, again, drop us a comment and we'll send you that information out. But one of the biggest changes to that is, in light of everything that's happened with the pandemic, if for any reason related to COVID that we had to cancel expedition, you'd be able to get all of your fundraising returned to you, and importantly, the people that donated to you, if you donated it directly to Raleigh, and that's either over the phone or through NetSuite. If you use like a third-party application like Just Giving or Virgin Money, then that will mean that you're not eligible to get that fundraising back, and that's just because of that third party, just kind of the way it works. So it's very easy for us to return the fundraising, and we will do that if Raleigh have to cancel the expedition. If it's a direct kind of transfer of fundraising, if it's through something else, then unfortunately we can't do that. So it's just worth bearing in mind. Although, again, I should mention the great thing about those third-party applications for Raleigh is that it makes it really easy to get gift aid, which is like additional funds from the UK government to Raleigh, which is really kind of good for us to kind of help us continue the work. So those are some things to think about. Obviously, there are lots of amazing ideas that volunteers in the past have done to kind of fundraise, different events that they've had on. One that worked particularly well in this kind of bottom left corner, you see lots of gin bottles with fairy lights in. I think this is a volunteer that kind of talked to their student union or their local bar, asked for like donations from gin bottles, and then kind of ran this craft sort of practice, kind of making them quite nice through like Etsy. I think they were able to fundraise quite a decent amount of money through that idea, so that's pretty cool. Obviously, lots of people love bake sales. Who doesn't love a cupcake? And a good cause always goes down a treat. I personally did the Three Peaks Challenge, so something that a lot of volunteers do is kind of these challenge fundraising, I think. So yeah, it was also really good experience because it's good practice for trek as well. So yeah, I'd say like it's kind of finding the balance between channeling things that you're passionate about. If you like hiking and walking, then try and channel that into your fundraising. If you're a musician, busking could be great. You could organize like a fundraising concert, and then that will make it rewarding for you, and also really easy to kind of get the word out and draw on the networks that you already have, which is fantastic. But like I said, there are lots of resources on My Raleigh that kind of go over an A to Z of fundraising, various case studies that people have done, but we're always happy to organize a chat as well to talk about any fundraising ideas. Obviously, with expedition being quite close, I think the deadline for fundraising for this expedition was today. I think we're still waiting for a few bits and bobs to kind of come in. So if you're having any trouble with that, feel free to drop us an email or give us a call, and we can kind of chat that through, kind of see how we can support you the best way we can. Yeah, here's just some very good virtual fundraising ideas, live stream events. You could donate your commute, coffee, lunch, haircut. I'm not really sure what that means. It's kind of talked about outdoor challenge events already. You could organize cooking lessons, fitness classes, quizzes. Although I think at this point, personally, I'm a bit tired of virtual quizzes. Not sure how everybody else is feeling. If your friendship group isn't tired of virtual quizzes, then why not organize one? Could be great. Park Olympics, it's great. Kind of coming to the end of January now. People are on quite a fitness kick. Capitalize on that. Connect with your local community. Potentially local schools or your old schools. That could be fantastic. Possibilities are endless. So yeah, get thinking. The more creative fundraising is, often the more effective we find it is as well. We're always happy to kind of hear your fantastic ideas as well. Yeah. So some of the ways that Raleigh can help is our fundraising guide. We can provide you with a certain amount of resources. We also have collection tins, which I think require a £10 deposit. If that's something you're interested in, drop us an email and we can send it out to you. Also on Moodle, we have a list of different trusts and grants and foundations that you might be applicable for. So it's always worth checking out. And also various guides on setting up just giving accounts if that's what you're interested in. Some of the different ways that you can transfer it in is to your NetSuite account. So to log into your NetSuite account, it should be the main email address you associate with kind of your communication with us and your Raleigh ID number. If you need a reminder of what that is, drop us an email with your name and your email, obviously, and we'll remind you of that. You can also do it through those third-party applications that we've gone over. You do it over the phone as well. If you call us and ask for the finance team, they can kind of help you pay that in over the phone. Again, on My Raleigh, you can find Raleigh International's bank details, and you can literally just transfer that in if you're on online banking. Again, we've got our collection tins that we talked about. You know, the kind of general rule of thumb for anything from this. If you take away anything tonight, take away this. If you're not sure of anything, then feel free to get in touch with us and we'll give you the answer as soon as we can. So hopefully most of you are at the point where we've had your medical forms in, hopefully you've been cleared. We've had your fundraising in and obviously your passport. So now it's like time to, you know, start looking at booking flights. So we will send you the flight guidance. I think it should have already been sent out. Again, if you haven't been sent this, just pop it in the chat and we'll send it to you after this. And then please make sure that you book your flights within the time and dates on the flight guidance, because this is the kind of like period where the teams in either Costa Rica or Nepal will be able to meet you, pick you up and take you to field base. So if you can provide us with the inbound and outbound flight numbers, the time and date of departure, and then also the time and date that you'll arrive in as well. That's for both your flights to the country and out of the country as well. Some key things to remember: don't book your flights, please, until you've been cleared by the medical team. Yeah, it's also a really cool idea to, you know, talk to each other and coordinate your travel through the Facebook groups. If you're not on the Facebook groups, should be on the flight guidance. And if you don't have this, again, just message us and we'll add that to you. We'll send it over to you. And please keep us updated if anything changes. Visas. So if you're going to Costa Rica, it's super easy. You should get issued a 90-day tourist visa on arrival, as long as you provide proof that you'll leave Costa Rica within 90 days. But it kind of goes into a bit more detail. There's just like one form you have to fill in, and details on that will be on the flight guidance. So super easy process, issued with a free visa on arrival to the country. If you're going to be staying over that time in Costa Rica, then something that you can do independently is to book kind of like a bus ticket to Panama. Stay there for the night and then come back into Costa Rica the next day with proof that you'll be leaving again in 90 days, and you'll get issued another free 90-day tourist visa. So you just need proof that you'll leave the country. And if you need to book that bus ticket, a good website to use is Tica Bus. That's TICA bus.com. But the onus is on you, the volunteer, to do that if that's your plan. But, you know, great for onward travel. If you are traveling onwards and that hasn't kind of been confirmed yet, just let us know. But, you know, bear in mind that you'll need proof that you're leaving Costa Rica. Nepal is a little bit more complicated. And again, we've got a document that kind of goes through this process. But essentially, the headline is you'll need to apply for a tourist visa kind of as soon as possible. We say 8 weeks. You can reduce that by going to the embassy in London or wherever your embassy is, depending on which country you're from. And basically, yeah, you'll need like a scan of your passport, some passport photos, and just the field-based address for Nepal to kind of get that visa issued. But yeah, there's a specific document for that. If you haven't got it, let us know and we'll send that over to you. Super easy. So what else could you be doing in the meantime? So, you know, one of the really important things is to kind of learn some of the language for the country that you're going to. So this just kind of helps ease any kind of communication between the home country volunteers it will be out there with, also the staff and community members that you'll be working with on a daily basis, and helps you kind of engage with the culture just a little bit more. I find the more that you learn beforehand, the more you can really get from expedition. That also involves learning about the history, the culture, the art, and any kind of customs for the country. Again, there are like rough guides on My Raleigh, but it's also quite fun to do your own research as well. Kind of talked about practice trekking, maybe combining it with your fundraising. Try not to, overdo it too much. You want to make sure that you're in good physical health before expedition. Use My Raleigh. There's an abundance of resources on there, in addition to all the forms that you need to complete. So please check that out. Feel free to keep on fundraising, because it not only raises awareness for Raleigh, but it also, helps us carry out the work we do. And whilst you do that, you can also learn more about Raleigh's history. It's quite interesting, and it's changed a considerable amount in the decades that it's been running. You can also get your kit together, so that not only involves the actual things you'll need on expedition, but crucially the admin work you need before you go on expedition. And also utilize the Facebook groups to get in touch with each other. Start building those friendships early. By the time you get in country, you'll know lots about each other, which is fantastic. Although I'm aware that most young people these days don't really use Facebook. So we're kind of looking at how we can best sort of engage volunteers other than using Facebook, but for now it's like the best tool for the job. Just makes me feel really old that people don't use it anymore, but that's my problem. Let's talk a little bit more about expedition itself. This is kind of a rough guide as to like what expedition will look like in Costa Rica, although it is subject to change, and it will look slightly, so here we can see everybody in this group will arrive where it says second 7-week volunteers arrive. So this will kind of be just before changeover for the other group of 7-weekers and 10-weekers who are just coming back from phase 1. So they'll have done one phase. You'll do your training before they come back, your induction at field base. And then you'll kind of meet everybody. There'll be a chance to bond with each other, and then we'll rejig the groups up and send you out for your first phase, which will last 19 days. Let's just take a back step there. I'm aware I've kind of run straight into it. So following the flight guidance, you'll arrive in San Jose Airport. You'll be met by the Raleigh Costa Rica team. They'll be wearing kind of really recognizable shirts so that you know who they are. You'll then travel for a couple of hours to the British school. Sorry, that's not a couple of hours. In San Jose, a much shorter journey, or you'll stay the night there before then taking, a couple of hours travel to Trialba, where field base is. And this is where you'll come back for what we call changeover, in between each phase, and also what we call a wash up. It's kind of like a really nice celebration of the time on expedition, all the fantastic work you've done before you then depart either back home or onward travel. So everybody here will be doing 2 phases. So they'll each kind of last 19 days, includes like 1 day for travel there and 1 day for travel back. So each time you'll have a couple of days changeover to kind of recuperate. It's probably the best chance you'll get to chat back with the folks at home before then carrying out with your next phase or wash up. So it's a rough guide. Nepal is pretty similar. You arrive in Kathmandu Airport. Field base is in Lalitpur, which is like a suburb in Kathmandu. Ignore the stuff about Rims being a small village outside Kathmandu. That's not accurate anymore. So yeah, same sort of thing. You'll have the best part of a week sort of orientation and induction training, lots of fun team building before you learn more about the projects you'll be carrying out. Before you then go into your first phase, you then do changeover back in Lalitpur, kind of like dorm style sort of bunks in an office setting, before then going back out to phase 2, coming back for wash up, and then onward travel or return home. Same sort of structure. So some of the phases that you might be doing, this one's only specific for Costa Rica, something called natural resource management. So this kind of involves working with national parks in Costa Rica, which are really important, kind of part of Costa Rica's economy. They're really heavily reliant on ecotourism, but they're also renowned for being an extremely green country. So it's great to get a really unique insight into some of the world's kind of like biodiversity hotspots. You can see all sorts of flora and fauna. Kind of be doing like lots of tree planting, kind of trail maintenance. It's also a good opportunity to engage with local schools, and all sorts of wondrous things like that. The Adventure Leadership Track is probably the thing that a lot of volunteers kind of either are really looking forward to or are quite quite kind of I'm having another complete blank. Can be something that people can be quite anxious about. But honestly, it is one of the most challenging things I've done, but also one of the most rewarding things I've done as well. Kind of working with your team to kind of get through all of these challenging days to then, reach the end of the 19 days to have either, walked from coast to coast of Costa Rica or, roughly around 3,000 meters in Nepal. And especially at this time of year, you'll see some really interesting kind of views, where it might be quite cold at the start, but as we get through the program, it will kind of get warmer, and you'll see some really unique views that you just can't see anywhere else in the world. So yes, it's challenging, but it's extremely rewarding, and hopefully it will give you, a lifelong love for trekking. Then we also have our community phase. So a lot of Raleigh's work revolves around access to clean water and sanitation. So this may involve working with local communities in Nepal to improve their access to clean water, following on, from the earthquakes, and then similarly in Costa Rica to improve access to education to indigenous communities in Costa Rica. So, really quite unique and rewarding placements that are really essential to international development. Cool. So let's talk about the elephant in the room, COVID-19. So the best thing to do is to kind of research the country's travel guidance because, this is subject to change a lot of the time. But at the moment, there's no required quarantine for either countries, providing that you're double vaccinated against COVID, which is also a requirement to be on expedition from our point of view anyway, which is fantastic. We advise you bring, quite a few reusable fabric face coverings, just so that, for any kind of travel or, kind of interactions with groups outside of Raleigh, you're protecting yourself and them. Instead of PCR tests, sorry, I should have changed that. We'll have lateral flow tests on day 0 and day 5 of expedition. We've scrapped the PCR tests. So it's just lateral flow tests, but you'll need to bring your own supply of these. And, please don't just get the NHS ones. Obviously we're aware if you're in the UK, there's a lot of stress on the NHS. And, with a quick look around on the internet, you can find cheap lateral flow tests from other places. We should have sent an email about that. Can send it again if you don't have it. It's just important to note, if you do test positive on day 0, then this will mean that unfortunately you won't be able to take part in expedition, just because you won't be on Raleigh's duty of care when you take that first lateral flow test. And then that will mean that Raleigh will have to kind of help you find suitable isolation kind of accommodation to stay in, but that will be at your own cost or the cost of your insurance. So it's also really important to make sure that you get insurance that can cover you in that eventuality. But the best way to prevent yourself from testing positive on day 0 is to kind of isolate as much as you can in the 10 days before expedition. I appreciate that that's just not possible for some people, and that's totally fine. It's just the best advice I can give is to do everything you can to make sure that you don't test positive on day 0. If you test positive on day 5, that's a different story because you'll be under our duty of care. You'll still be able to carry on with expedition. Raleigh will organise a place for you to isolate, and that's all covered under Raleigh. Your food and everything else that you'll need for 10 days before you can then rejoin the expedition again. We have scrapped the limitation for contact between groups. We feel that we're at a point now in Costa Rica and the pool are at a point now where it's safe for us to be mixing our expedition groups so that when you folks arrive on expedition, you'll be able to mix with the 10-weekers there as well. It's just kind of core to the work Raleigh do, so social cohesion and making it really easy for you to build those new friendships. So that's a change there. We have identified, points where we can isolate people on every phase of expedition, so that if you do have the symptoms and you test positive, we can isolate you until you recover. And we've also got an increased number of medics on our programs as well, which is fantastic. It just means that we're better able to support you in these eventualities. Cool. These are our main points of contact. I think I've spoken to most people in this call at some point. I'm sure Abba has as well. If you're going to Costa Rica, use the top email address. If you're going to Nepal, use the bottom email address. And if you feel like it's just easier to have a phone call, feel free to give us a call on that number. And we're always happy to kind of take your call and chat through any queries or concerns that you might have. Cool. I'm going to hand over to one of my colleagues from the Year of Service team now.
Yeah, so a few of us here at Raleigh are, sorry, I can hear myself on someone's phone. We are looking into seeking people's insights into their fundraising experience that they've had whilst fundraising for their Raleigh expedition. This is just because we need to try and help prospective volunteers, because as I can imagine most of you have experienced, fundraising can be quite difficult, especially during a pandemic, and it's quite hard to be creative if you don't have that creative bone in you. So we're hoping to try and help some prospective volunteers by getting some anecdotes from you, if you're able to give us some. So George, could you just put that screen? Oh, it's on the slide anyway. So yeah, so we're looking to either get a written blog from you, or we can set up a video sort of interview, but it's going to be really informal. It'll just be a conversation that's 10-15 minutes long, just discussing your experience during fundraising and advice that you give to volunteers that are about to go into their fundraising journey. Whichever's most comfortable for you will be the best option for us. You don't have to take part in this. Obviously, you probably have a lot going on getting into your expedition, but obviously with George saying that the deadline was today, it would be good for us to get in contact with you maybe in the next 2 weeks, possibly, just for us to get this bit of content together. I've put my email address on the screen, so it's e.russell@rallyinternational.org. If you're interested in trying to help future volunteers, that'd be great. Just email me and we can try and set it up, and I can send you the prompts that we're going to be using, just so you're familiar with the content that we need, because it's probably going to be on our social media channels, and maybe we'll put it on My Rally eventually. So if you're comfortable with a video of you or your personal anecdotes going on social media, that would be great. And if not, don't worry, we've probably got other people getting involved, so there's no pressure. But that's all from us, if anyone else has got anything to add.
Fantastic. Thank you, Eloise. Yeah, it's a really good way to kind of get involved and also help future volunteers as well. So, if that's something that you're interested in, please get in touch. Fantastic. I think that should conclude my spiel. And now's the chance I'm sure most people have been waiting for. If you've got any questions, feel free to either raise your hands on Teams, unmute yourself, or if you're more comfortable, then popping it in the chat box. And I'll do my best to answer your questions. And failing that, we'll get in touch over the next few days. So any questions, concerns, hopes, aspirations, things you want to share? Anything at all? No? Wow, this is very unusual. I thought there'd be loads of questions. That's good. Hopefully it means that you have all the information you need. which is good. Oh, cool. Grace has a question. For Nepal, what's the sleeping arrangement / accommodation for each stage? Great question. So when you're at field base, it'll kind of be sort of dorm style, sort of beds, but still take a sleeping bag and maybe a pillow as well. And then for community and trek, it will be camping. So Raleigh has all the equipment for that, but you'll be in tents. I think with one other person, you get like a tent buddy. So yeah, it'll be wild camping for most of it. Cool. Alexander, you've got your hand up.
Yeah, hi. You said for the day 0 and day 5 tests, we bring our own sort of lateral flows. But if the rules change on the way back, so let's say like the UK changed their like color status from like green to red or whatever for Nepal, what's the sort of protocol for going about getting another test, getting a PCR, getting a lateral flow in Nepal?
Yeah, that's an excellent question. I suppose like a good thing to suggest would be to kind of get like the best travel and personal insurance that will cover you for that eventuality, hoping that that doesn't happen. But, who knows these days? It can change quite quickly. But then I also like to think I'll just need to double check as to like what support Raleigh can provide. But, I'm pretty confident that if that did change significantly, then, we do our best to kind of cover any, if there were PCR tests, then yeah, we have contacts in both Nepal and Costa Rica with labs that could potentially facilitate that. But I will double check that. If you could fire us off an email, just so I can, fully confirm that the support that we can offer. But yeah, great question. Some more in the chat. Tat says, "What's the best currency to bring?" Remind me, which country are you again, Tats? I think it's.
I'm going to Nepal.
Okay, Nepal. That is a great question. I know the advice we give is to either like get it when you're in country and you can change to the local currency of Nepal in the airport at either like a currency station. Well, sorry, did I lose everyone? Am I back?
Yeah, you
Cool.
froze.
Oh no. Did you get most of what I said though? You can change your currency at either an ATM or in the airport itself. So
Yeah.
hopefully that answers the question.
I think she said what one to bring.
I can't remember.
It's Nepalese. It's Nepalese rupees, right?
Yes. Yeah,
Yeah.
you're right. No.
Yeah. So just
Yeah.
it's better to change the airport,
Absolutely.
as George said.
Yeah. Yeah, just make sure you leave enough time. Most like flights will like I think arrive. Most of them are like at 8:50, which is a time that we say to. So if there's like a big queue, then it might be better to use like an ATM. But yeah, cool. Will there be any opportunity to sightsee or do touristy things? That's a good question. I guess like at field base, at least from my experience in Costa Rica, you're in Trialba, which is a pretty unique sort of town that's in like the shadow of a volcano. But there's certainly no time to like go on like an excursion or anything like that. There's like downtime on like changeover and inductions, but a lot of your time will either be kind of taken up doing induction or like having team bonding things in the evening. So yeah, I guess it's just down to kind of like finding that time on like community and trek phase kind of yourself. Like there's a certain amount of like free time. It's just a question of like how flexible Raleigh can be. So yeah, does that kind of answer your question? It's a bit wishy-washy, sorry. There's not like too much time, which is why like if you are interested in doing that, then you could maybe look at kind of arriving in country earlier or kind of staying slightly longer after expedition finishes. That's what a lot of people do. Cool. Any more questions from anybody? No, doesn't seem to be. If you do have any more questions, feel free to drop us an email or give us a call, and we'll be in touch as soon as we can. But thank you for your time. Oh, we've got one more. Is it most common to get a SIM card at the airport? I suppose that's like one way you can do it. I went so long ago that my phone contract covered like travel to Costa Rica, which is just unheard of these days. Really shows my age. So yeah, I think the best bet will probably be to get it at the airport or either at field base. Yeah, kind of in the early stages of expedition.
Oh, just note on that actually, because I remember I saw something like that. The airport is good, but when you actually are going, they stay at school before, there might be opportunity, there's shops and they actually sell the SIM cards. So that's also something. But I think the airport actually would be the best bet for everyone. But yeah, the shops, I've heard that people have done that before, so have a look at those.
Yeah, nice one. Cool. Any final questions before we end the call? No, like I said, drop us an email or give us a call. And if you do, really appreciate you for all giving your time this evening. Yeah, fantastic. Cool. I think we'll leave it there.
Cheers. Thank you.
No worries. Bye.